Hi class, I'm back, and in this video I want to talk about a few of the most common mistakes that I see and truthfully that I make. So the first one is using a pipe instead of the plus, and I guarantee that this will happen to you, especially as we start doing more piping. So let me just run this piece of code. Notice right here, when I've gone from ggplot, where I'm supposed to add a layer, I've accidentally piped. So if I run this code, I get an error message. This is actually a really helpful error message. It says, did you use pipe instead of plus? And by golly, I did. It didn't always give this error message. One time I spent over an hour or nearly an hour, something like that, trying to debug this. But now all we have to do is change that to a plus sign and it'll be fixed. Another common mistake is forgetting the AES, forgetting the aesthetic mapping. So notice here, I've taken my data and then ggplotted it. I have my X and Y aesthetics, but it's not within that AES function. And then I've added the Geom point layer. Well, it gets mad at me. It says Geom point requires the following missing aesthetics. So it does say something about aesthetics, but believe me, I've gotten this error before and haven't realized that. So watch out for that. Another common mistake is when you're trying to change a property, something like just changing the color of all the data points to red, inside of the aesthetic, okay? Or putting it inside of ggplot, even though it's outside of the aesthetic, these changes in properties do not get passed on to your geoms, okay? So here's the mistake where I put it in the ggplot. So notice the points certainly aren't red, and it doesn't actually give me an error message of any sort. It just has ignored this piece. In this piece of code, I've put color equals red inside of the aesthetic. And this happens to people and they're like, what is it doing? This color is not red. It's actually tried doing something smart and tried changing this into a variable, sort of complicated. But if you get something where you've told it a color and it looks a different color than what you told it, you probably accidentally put that property you're trying to set inside of the aesthetic mapping, which is looking for variables. Another common mistake is forgetting a geom. So this happens to me a lot when I've piped through a lot of lines of code and then finally get to the ggplot part. And I think I just get so excited to have the ggplot that I forget to tell it which geom to use. So, I'll run this code and it didn't plot anything. Well, it didn't plot anything because you've only given it the blank canvas for now. You have to add that geom layer. Okay, those are the 4 common mistakes that I see. So hopefully being aware of them helps you not make them or perhaps resolve an error more quickly than I did in the past. That's all.